Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. I know I usually cover foreign policy on my channel, but the whistleblower news that's dominating the news cycle right now is just simply too much not to provide my take on this. So, as you may have heard, Trump had a conversation with the Ukrainian president in July over the phone, which they discussed various matters ranging from Trump congratulating Mr. Zelensky on his campaign victory to Ukrainian American relations just moving forward. Zelensky discussed the importance of purchasing American oil and military equipment, such as javelins, in addition. It's important to note that Zelensky brought up this business relationship, not the other way around. Trump then asked for a favor for Zelensky to look into CrowdStrike, an American company that was hired by the DNC. So, CrowdStrike was actually the company that told the FBI that they were hacked by the Russians, when in fact, CrowdStrike refused to turn over any of their computer hardware to the feds. So it's important to note that the feds took the word of CrowdStrike to say that it was the Russians who indeed hacked them. So, Trump simply just wanted an answer to this because it actually was one of the key starting points to beginning the Mueller probe. And, the Ukrainians might actually have an answer to this, so that's why he was wondering about it. So, in addition, Trump spoke about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Joe Biden was just bragging about coercing the Ukrainians into firing a prosecutor that was looking into his son's business dealings. So let's just talk a little bit about Hunter Biden. Biden was kicked out of the Navy in 2014 for cocaine violations and arrests. He was found with a crack pipe in his car, I remember. He's just not really that good of a guy. He cheated on his wife with his deceased brother's widow, which is kind of messed up. So immediately after being discharged from the Navy, and despite having zero experience in energy, nor being able to speak Ukrainian or Russian, Hunter gets a $600K per year job on the board of a Ukrainian energy company, which is kind of strange. So after a little while, Ukraine had had enough of Hunter Biden, and they started to be suspicious of his activities. So they appointed a prosecutor to look into him for alleged crimes, and doing what prosecutors do is just investigate into these matters. So at the time, Joe Biden was vice president, and it really just didn't sit well with him. So Biden then told Ukraine that if the prosecutor wasn't fired immediately, the U.S. wouldn't be sending them $1 billion in aid that we normally send them. So it just seems to me just to be a little bit unethical, right? So American tax dollars that Biden was just using as leverage to stop the criminal investigation on his son, which it just seems a little strange. So, as expected, Ukraine immediately fired the prosecutor because they desperately needed the aid subsequently after Russia invaded Crimea. To make matters worse, Biden then, like I said, bragged about it, and he did this on video. So you can actually look at my Twitter account or even Trump's. Trump posted the video. If you haven't seen it yet, just Google it. So Ukraine then had to hire a new prosecutor that Biden actually personally approved of. So it just seems awfully shady. So now let's look at the July call with Ukrainian President Zelensky. So during the call, Trump mentioned Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's just overall bombastic behavior. So Trump alleges that a crime could have possibly been committed, and Zelensky admits he's actually fully aware of the situation and actually wanted to talk to Trump about it. So when questioned about the video, Biden actually was doing an interview. Well, not really an interview. He was just outside at some event, and a bunch of reporters were around him. And one of the Fox News reporters actually asked him about the video, that, him bragging. And Biden got extremely irate and angry about it. And he was essentially just spewing spit in the reporter's face, just so angry. His dentures almost fell out. I really haven't seen him that angry before, which kind of strikes me as a guilty conscience. He also lied and said he never spoken to his son about any of his son's out-of-country business adventures, so, that he shouldn't be investigated, but Trump should instead be investigated. So just a little strange to me with his behavior. But anyway, the whistleblower from within the White House, the actual, whistleblower's transcript was released, but, it was released first to the New York Times. What's interesting to add to, the lawyer who released it to the New York Times actually donates to Biden's campaign. So I thought that was a little strange. It said that Trump called Zelensky 8 separate times in a hostile phone call. He pressured him into investigating Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, and investigating both of them, really. So this would be a campaign violation for Trump to do so because Biden's running for president. So that's what the Democrats are saying that could have been a problem as well. So Zelensky actually came out and he had a press conference with Trump yesterday, and he kind of made it clear. Well, not kind of. He made it clear that it was actually a very pleasant phone call with Trump. And Trump absolutely didn't pressure him or threaten his country. He even went so far as to saying that his government felt threatened by Biden, actually, for withholding the aid if Hunter Biden's issue wasn't dropped. So the media has actually been silent on Hunter Biden and the shady character that he is, which is kind of odd to me that they haven't even brought it up. Trump has subsequently released the transcript of his conversation with Zelensky, and after reading it, it was pretty clear that there was nothing in there that was wrong for Trump to ask. Trump was simply looking into any criminal behavior that occurred. Like he said, he likes to drain the swamp and just look for any, corruption that could be mitigated. So, in addition, we signed a treaty with Ukraine in 1999 that created a reciprocal relationship in trading criminal information. Biden was actually part of the Senate when this treaty was voted on, so he's certainly aware of this. Even more interesting is that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced an impeachment inquiry into Trump without even seeing the transcript first. So it's essentially like driving the Indy 500 with a blindfold on. She entered the fray without knowing the full story, went off gossip, information that wasn't even present, from someone that wasn't even present during the phone call. So the whistleblower even made this clear that he or she wasn't present when the phone call happened. So in a court of law, that's known as hearsay. This means that it's inadmissible evidence, given that the whistleblower wasn't even present during the phone call and solely relied on the accounts of others. So, frankly, it actually could be double jeopardy, double hearsay, excuse me. So, the Democrats will know this, and, I saw Kamala Harris already tweet in preparation of this fact and, knowing that this could be said as hearsay. So, she wants to subpoena all witnesses to the phone call, but I would expect executive privilege to be invoked, perhaps, which means Trump can legally withhold information in public interest. So this would set up a major legal battle and political battle. So we just need to keep in mind, though, overall, that the phone call possessed zero hostility, had no mention of President Trump threatening to withhold military aid, like the media and Pelosi said. So in addition, Trump he didn't keep bringing it up 8 times like the media claimed either, so that's just fake news. The only thing I could call odd about the situation is that the call was supposed to be 30 minutes long, and the transcript that Trump released, it reads in about 10 to 15 minutes, so that's the only thing of worry I would say that could be out there, if the whole transcript really wasn't released. Biden, on the other hand, as former vice president, he could still be impeached and he'd lose all of his pension and benefits, among other things that, he probably should step out of the race and await his fate, but I expect him to double down and just wait out Trump's impeachment process. That's typically what the Democrats would do. In the end, political corruption, I think, was committed by Joe Biden. Trump reserves the right as president to inquire about such matters, and running for president should not make you immune to such inquiries. That literally makes zero sense to me. If you're running for president, I can't inquire if you did something wrong or illegal. It just annoys me that every time, just ever since Trump's inauguration on January 20th, 2017, the Democrats have just been kicking and screaming for resistance and impeachment. I even tweeted if Trump farted, they would call for impeachment. It's just, they've become the boy who cried wolf, and it just ruins their credibility. At any corner, if Trump does something wrong, they're gonna cry about it, and people will stop listening to them because they have no credence to their argument. And the basics of winning an argument, according to Aristotle, is the 3 tenets of pathos, emotion, logos, logic, ethos, ethics, or credibility. And the Democrats, they really only argue on the grounds of pathos, so emotion. And I think it will ultimately prove to be their demise again in 2020. So thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.